So how do you protect your time at work without coming off as rude? In this video, I'll share 5 ways to subtly say no without the awkwardness. Let's do it. Hey, what's up guys? Jeff here and welcome to All-Star Academy, helping you attract, develop, and lead your dream team. And on this channel, we do videos on leadership and team development and time management videos just like this one. So if you're new here, hit that subscribe button and join the All-Star community. So have you ever noticed that we have a tendency to value our money more than our time? I mean, imagine somebody walked up to you with a $50 bill and they offered to exchange it for your $100 bill. What would you do?
Pick out two. 1, 2. Ah!
Obviously you'd decline, right? It's a bad investment. And yet we make poor investments with our time every single day. We hand out 10 minutes here and 20 minutes there to anyone who asks for it until we're left scrambling at the end of the day with no time trying to get our own things done. So why is this happening?
The time continuum has been disrupted, creating this new temporal event sequence resulting in this alternate reality.
English, Doc.
Because it's human nature. Yes, people need help, but they also love to offload problems and procrastinate and gossip and suck as many people in as they can. And do you know what? We are just as guilty for allowing it to happen to us. I mean, even if we wanted to shield ourselves from these distractions, we often say and do nothing out of fear for offending the other person. So if coming to work every day feels like this, I've got 5 ways that you can start protecting your time right now without the awkwardness of saying no. Number 1, stop solving everyone's problems. I'll tell you right now, your employees are more clever than you think, and they know exactly how to manipulate you using stories and throwaway comments. They may say something like, I'm really stressed out today, or I made a mistake, or I lost a client. And this really puts you between a rock and a hard place, doesn't it? Because on one hand, you care about the well-being of your employees and how their actions will impact your company, but on the other hand, you're also trying to deflect these disruptions so you can stay focused on your own priorities. So how do you make this a win-win situation for everybody? By empowering your employees to resolve their own issues with confidence. So imagine somebody walks into your office with a ball which represents a specific problem. They're free to place the ball on your desk. You're free to talk about it, touch the ball, toss the ball back and forth between you and your employee, but at the end of the conversation, it is imperative that that ball leaves with its owner. And the best way to do this is to respond to their concern with a question. So the next time an employee comes to you and makes a throwaway comment or brings a problem to you, don't immediately solve it for them. Ask them a question. You could ask, how do you think you should solve this problem? Or what have you tried so far to solve this problem? Or what do you think the next step is? It doesn't really matter what you're saying, the meaning remains the same. What you're really saying is if you're prepared to bring a problem to me, you better also have a solution in place before I weigh in. Responding to their concerns using a question automatically puts the ball back in their court and forces them to take ownership of both the problem and the solution. It's also important that you're hyper aware of your tone to ensure that your employee feels supported and not blown off. Also, bonus points for actually following up with it afterwards to make sure that the problem was in fact resolved, and don't forget to praise them afterwards for a job well done. Okay, so the second thing that you can do to protect your time is to pass the buck to somebody else, which works great when saying no isn't an option. Just think about how many times in a day people are requesting for your time and where you could be redirecting the flow of traffic. This could be an employee that maybe needs to speak with their immediate supervisor instead of you. It could be handing over a customer to another salesperson on your team, or connecting a vendor with your purchaser, and so on. And this isn't even a secret. It's already a proven strategy used by industry leaders and celebrities, and basically anyone who's running a big business and can't do everything themselves. So instead of being the bottleneck of their business, they just make sure the right people talk to each other, and you should feel comfortable doing the same. Okay, on to tip number 3, which is to put a stop to all random drop-in appointments and set up an official appointment policy. Random visits are annoying, they're disruptive, and they're not very productive. And the only thing worse than an unexpected sales pitch is a pointless check-in.
Hello, Peter. What's happening?
So to combat this, there's a very simple and painless way that you can curb these visits without putting a strain on your relationship. The next time somebody comes by for a visit, politely decline. Explain to that person that you are no longer seeing people unless they book an appointment 1 days in advance. You require an agenda up front so you understand what it is the meeting is about to help you prepare, and thank them for their cooperation. The whole point here is to train people to work around your schedule and not the other way around. And what I found personally is that even the most stubborn person will come around after the second or third decline visit. But the best part of all is that there's no longer an obligation for you to fake interest and see people out of the goodness of your heart. If based on the agenda you don't feel that there's value to that meeting, don't call them back, don't book the meeting, period. And if you're concerned at all about any sort of awkward conversation whatsoever, you can always preemptively strike by emailing out your appointment policy to all of your contacts in advance. Boom, done. All right, tip number 4, pump the brakes on excessive communication. I'm talking about stories. I'm talking about long-winded explanations. I'm talking about small talk, all of that stuff. Now, don't get me wrong, you still want to engage your team every single day and take an interest in their personal lives. But what I'm really talking about is that 10 to 20% of conversation filler that serves no real purpose and we're too polite to do anything about. So let's knock these off one by one, shall we? Kelly corners you in the photocopying room and starts rambling on about her lower back pain. What do? Politely interrupt and ask to hear the rest of the story later. Sorry, Kelly, I gotta run, but can I hear the rest of that story later? But you won't really hear the story later. This is Matt. He's new, he's a talker, and he's eager to please. But at this moment, he's got a problem and he's going on and on and on about it. What do? Once again, politely interrupt and cut to the chase. Matt, shut up. Just kidding, don't say that. So Matt, boil this down for me. Where are we at with this? This is Al, one of your suppliers, and he just called you on the phone. What do? Skip the chit chat and get right down to business. I'm fine, thanks, Al. What could I do for you? And my favorite is to stand up at the end of a meeting to cue that the conversation is over. This is especially effective in group meetings and also gives you the opportunity to get the hell out before somebody corners you. All of these tactics really come down to one thing, and that's training everyone around you to respect your time. You still want to be seen as an approachable, supportive leader, but remember, part of being the leader is also setting the example for everybody else. So if your team is seeing you value your own time and make a conscious effort to deflect excessive communication, they'll not only pick up on those cues, they're likely going to adapt those same behaviors for themselves. And this brings us to tip number 5, which is to eliminate redundant follow-ups with a single stroke. It used to drive me nuts when a supplier would drop a catalog off at our store and then call me a half a dozen times to see if I had seen it. Or even worse, when I would get an email and then a phone call and then a text to see if I had read the email.
No! God, please, no! 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 No!
So a trick that I learned out of necessity was to anticipate people's needs ahead of time and beat them to the punch. People need closure, and if you don't give them closure, they're going to continue to harass you. So going back to that example with the catalog, anytime I received one of those things, I would immediately say thank you, and if I'm interested, I will give you an order before the end of the week. And if at any point I received any sort of communication before that, I would simply reiterate the conversation and reiterate the deadline. Minimal conversation, minimal follow-up. All this really boils down to is reassurance, letting the other person know that whatever's important in their world is also important to you, and it'll get done in a timely manner, but on your timeline, not theirs. So to eliminate redundant follow-ups, remember, anticipate future problems, future inquiries, and either address them on the spot or at the very least, put a deadline on them and get those people off your back. Either way, it's a win-win. So there you have it, 5 ways that you can start protecting your time right now without the awkwardness of saying no. You can stop solving everyone's problems, you can pass the buck to somebody else, you can set up an appointment policy, you can cut off excessive communication, and you can eliminate redundant follow-ups. So remember, treat your time with the same care and considerations you treat your money, and only focus on the things that yield the best return on your investment. What you'll find is once you place a higher value on your time, everyone else will naturally get on board and do the same. Which brings us to the question of the day. What's one thing that you could do right now to get started protecting your time? I'd love to hear from you in the comments section, and remember, some of the best tips and tricks come from you, the All-Star community. So remember to connect with everyone in the comments section below. So hey, thanks for watching. Don't forget to subscribe and hit that little bell for more videos just like this one. Until next time, I'm Jeff with All-Star Academy. Light it up this week, and we'll see you next time.